Compared with the sophistication of the knowledge science gives us of the physical world, our understanding of its source, the conscious mind, is dismally lacking. Banished for decades and neglected by neuroscience and psychology alike, consciousness, though still a mystery, is once more a subject of much interest. In this chapter I clarify its identity by demonstrating its physical substrate. Without such an identification, the breakthrough to Homo sapiens, the evolution of language, and the acquisition of our functional autonomy, our sense of free will, cannot be accounted for. First, much needs to be done to clarify the situation. The terminology is loose. Consciousness is taken variously to designate wakefulness, awareness, being alive, or being reflective. It is hard to know what exactly is being referred to in a domain that is described by David Oakley, 1985, as one in which there are as many definitions of awareness or consciousness as there are readers and writers. It is clear that the related terms awareness and consciousness are not generally perceived as anchored to identifiable processes in the brain. Although the situation has improved, largely as a result of the sophisticated research in brain imaging, confusion still persists. For want of real answers, many hold the view that we are self-deluded automata under the control of unconscious processes. As for the impression that we have causal powers, Geoffrey Gray of the London Institute of Psychiatry puts the matter for him beyond reasonable doubt. Consciousness of the stimulus comes too late to affect response. 2004. This is just a polite way of saying that consciousness is an epiphenomenon, a ghost in the machine of no relevance to the essentially unconscious organism or the neural processes on which it piggybacks. Unable to make sense of the term or find a role for it in the workings of the brain, we have simply taken consciousness out of the equation. The result is the so-called hard problem of consciousness, the question of why there is subjective conscious experience over and above the neural information processing that is substrate. The question remains unanswered, and if anything, awareness and consciousness are further out of reach than before, when they were subjects of unanchored guesswork. The problem of what to make of consciousness is ubiquitous. For example, John Searle, in his review of Antonio Damasio's latest work, Self Comes to Mind, 2010, asks the following questions. How do neurobiological processes in the brain cause consciousness? How does consciousness function causally in our behavior? To answer these, I show the link between neurobiology and consciousness and demonstrate the causal role that consciousness plays in the brain's decision-making. To begin, I want to put the biological foundation of awareness and consciousness into the evolutionary context that goes back to the breakthrough from prebiotic complexity to the self-replicating and metabolizing system that is life. While prebiotic complexity and mere animal awareness were fully embedded in the physical world and conformed to the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy, consciousness, to use Erwin Schrödinger's words, stands entropy on its head. It is easy to overlook that this breakthrough divides a causal chain that is until then unbroken, and that life in all its forms is a continuous single event. The breakthrough is an event that unfolds in line with its internal logic and is uniquely dependent on a new and specialized function, that of information processing. To maintain the organism, to draw on available resources, and at the same time to protect the organism from the dangers of the environment was the threefold function of information gathering and processing on which the primitive organism relied. For this purpose, photo, chemo, and pressure-sensitive spots on the cell evolved to